Thank you so much. Thanks, and great to meet all my panelists here. It's a pleasure to have them, and we are discussing something which is so pertinent, so relevant in these times, wherein the traditional classrooms are on hold. There is no definite time where this pandemic would end, where this vaccine would come up. So I think we have a lot of challenges before us. So I want to start right away with Dr. Singh. Mr. Singh, with you, my first question with you is that how do you see this pandemic shaping our new mindset as far as nurturing new leaders in these schools is concerned? Has it made us forced to rethink at what we were cultivating in terms of leaders? Has it forced us to rethink? That's my question to you.
Well, I don't know whether we are rethinking or not, but after any pandemic, two things happen. One is that there is a loss of lives and loss of livelihoods. So that is something which is very, very negative, and we are experiencing that. But the good news is that if you see the history, after every pandemic, lot of new innovations take place, and there is prosperity. So the same thing I think is going to follow. Right now we are facing the loss of lives as well as the loss of livelihood. Our economy is in difficulty, our politics is in difficulty, internationals are in difficulty, and organizationals are in difficulty. And therefore, we need to ask ourselves that how do we respond to it? So far, our response is concerned, we have not really changed. Whatever we were teaching, whatever we were doing, we are continuing to do the same. But if we really want to make best of the situation, we need to change our thinking, and we need to do three things which I think is important for business education. The first thing is that we need to think digital, right? If you see, in the beginning of 21st century, there was emphasis on digital in business schools. But by the time we came to 2005, 2006, digital became less important, and it went out of curriculum. Now we need to bring in digital in the curriculum. That is the first thing that we need to do. The second thing that we need to do is talk about innovations. Because as I told you that new prosperity will take place, and that would be possible only through innovations. So all these business school students, they have to be comfortable with innovation, and they have to start innovation. However, their understanding of innovation is poor. So we need to bring in innovation in the curriculum, and we need to make them comfortable with innovation and also make them innovator. And lastly, we need to talk about entrepreneurship. The tragedy of management education has been that it has been anti-response to entrepreneurship, and therefore in 90% of the business schools we hardly teach entrepreneurship. But entrepreneurship is important. So when I'm talking about innovation, I'm talking about innovation in the formal organizations, and when I'm talking about entrepreneurship, I'm talking about startups and looking forward to new ventures. So these are the three things that I see we need to do that. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, sir. Ms. Khanna, I want to come to you with a similar question. I just want to frame it differently, that, in this world where we are, in this world today, a lot of uncertainty is there, and we're all looking at new leaders who would guide us, take us through this, to another side, a positive side of this. Is there a different expectation from management institutions in terms of producing quality leaders? Are also management institutions looking within that what can be improved? Has there been a rethink? Has there been a pause to rethink what can be improved?
Thank you very much for asking me this very important question. I think we have come to a stage where there's been a lot of deep introspection on the manner in which we are teaching our young graduates and what is it that we are teaching them. Obviously, we are preparing our students for Industry 4.0, which is also
Right.
going through a vertical decline, which is going to grow, which is going through growth, and which is going through degrowth at maybe even at instant points of time also. So we are unable to predict what's happening in Industry 4.0. This makes
Right.
it very important for us to introspect our processes. What we have realized is that it's important for us not to just teach the curriculum to deliver what is being delivered across the business schools, but I think we
Right.
need to strengthen our students and give them personality traits which will hold them in good stead in the future. And some of these personality traits that I do believe that the Industry 4.0 is looking at, some of them I can just articulate to you. The first, I believe, is courage. I think we need to infuse in the students the quality of being courageous, because today the
Right.
life and the industry is very uncertain. Now, we cannot expect our students to work anymore in cozy cocoons, because the disruptions and the innovations can come from any source. Another thing I believe is that confidence, they should have a lot of confidence to face the future. Along with it, I think they should have the collaboration ability. They should be able to work in teams, because ultimately it is teams that work and deliver the goods. And no one person has all the solutions. I think it's many brains working together. Taking a leaf out of the animal world, you see the ants, even the tiniest of the ants, they all work together in teams. And that's how they prepare themselves for the rainy day. Another thing I do believe is that they should be calm. I think we have to tell our students not to panic, because students tend to get into the panic mode very easily. And I think the
Right.
future is uncertain. You need to have this calm mindset. You also need to be creative. And of course, in all these things, you need to have a lot of resilience power. I think these are some of the things that we need to do. And we need to
Right.
find strengths within, and we need to tweak our curriculum. Maybe not the curriculum, but the manner in which the entire pedagogy is being delivered, such that these attributes and these personality traits come out. We have to find our inner strengths. We have to create leaders from within. Because I do believe that we are in a moment where not only are we living through history, but we also have the opportunity to create history. So this is the moment where I think we should do a deep introspection, and we should put new guidelines, and we have to carve a new path, not only for ourselves, but I think for the young generation which is going into the future. So these are the
Right.
things that I do believe that as a management school, I think we should not only introspect, we should collaborate with Industry 4.0 and see to it what is the best that we can deliver to our young generation. Ultimately, they are the flag bearers of the future. So, as a business school, I think we are right in the center of change, and it is our duty to introspect and to deliver the change that is required for the future. So, I believe if it's Industry 4.0, then it should be Education 4.0 also. So, that's my take.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you.
I just want to mention that Dr. Madhu Chitkara has joined us. Welcome, ma'am. I'll just come to you. Before that, I want to go to Mr. Veeraraghavan. Sir, I just want to understand if you can hear me. Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Tell me, the last 6 months, has it been a pause where management institutions are also thinking of what could be improved? And if yes, what are those observations that you have had?
Okay, so thank you for having me, and thank you to all the panelists as well for joining. So the last 6 months, of course, the world has changed. We all know that. We have so many webinars and other conversations. I just want to quickly backtrack a little bit to just get a sense of, we've been talking so far, Dr. Singh and Dr. Khanna also have mentioned about, how the curriculum has to change. I thought let me just backtrack a little bit and see how the businesses have changed. We want to sort of interact between, say, industry 4.0, education 4.0, but the businesses have changed substantially. So if you look at how they're operating around the world, people talk about, strategic remote work. People talk about how do you manage teams across locations, hybrid teams, for example. People talk about, will the leadership change in the sense that they'll be breaking out of silos? Will there be more personal meetings or less personal meetings? Will we have more trust-based culture? So the Harvard Business Review has been doing a lot of excellent work, talking about these very interesting things. I want to, as a B school, one of the things, Ruhail, we've been doing, most schools around the world have thought, well, nothing will impact us. We're all very safe. Education sector will not be disrupted. Unfortunately, that's not true. And there's been a significant disruption. So let's pause and ask, what is the skill set today the industry is asking? And I can tell you right away, the skill sets are continuously changing. They're not the same skill sets that you had 10 years ago. For instance, today, if you ask, the employers will tell you, we want leadership competence, we want emotional intelligence, we want digital encoding skills. I think Dr. Singh spoke about technological competence, data literacy, critical thinking. To me, the most important of all is what we call adaptability and flexibility. Are you really adaptable and are you flexible? And that actually applies also to us, B schools, and to sort of curriculum that we create. So adaptability and flexibility to me are extremely important. We want to see them in our graduates. We want to see them in the leaders. And to me, leadership, in fact, the last 6 months, what I have seen is it's been an asset test for leaders. See, leaders are also human beings, right? We're fallible. We're not, we don't have two different horns on our heads. All of us are leaders of B schools and top universities, and we also go through those sorts of issues. So to me, leadership matters the most at this point in time. Maybe you will have a question later on where we can distinguish between what are the traits of a leader during this pandemic. I think Dr. Singh made a reference earlier about lives and livelihood. This is the difference between a crisis and a pandemic. Financial crisis, not many lives are lost, right? I mean, you may have an economic downturn. In a pandemic like this, millions of lives are lost. So the world is absolutely different. So yes, we schools will have to change the curriculum. We have to have a little bit different mindset, and we have to be able to adapt all sorts of challenges. I'm sure other panelists may want to say as well, and we'll look at it a bit later. Thanks.
Thanks, sir. Dr. Chitkara, the same question, just a little bit of reframing of it, that we cannot go with the same module of teaching in management institutions. I think my question was that have we realized this in the last 6 months that we need to rethink, re-strategize? We cannot go with the same set of building skills and the same set of grooming leaders. The same approach cannot be relevant. Do you think we have reached that stage? Sorry, your audio is muted. Sorry. There must be a one.
Yeah. Thank you, Ruhail, for asking this question, and I think best wishes to all of us that we are talking about a very important topic today, that B-School can create leaders for the post-pandemic world. Well said by you, Ruhail, that we need now more resilient organizations and versatile teams. Our teams should be very, very different, and we have to perform very differently in post-pandemic world. Now, if you see that B-Schools can contribute very much in this, the need of the hour, we can now start focusing on the interdisciplinary subjects. Now, the curriculum can be that if you want to take an example of liberal arts. Now, liberal arts means what? It is critical thinking, it is writing skills, it is social skills and behavioral competencies, art and design. Now, this and business education together. Now, this can help us creating a very different kind of a workforce. So, business and technology, it is always was hand in hand. Business and technology was working together, and that has worked very well during the pandemic when it was lockdown and when this type of situation was there. So I think technology came to our rescue in these schools where we were able to deliver the goods very efficiently. So I think technology business was always a very wonderful combination. Business and science, business and philosophy, business and social science. So such kind of combinations now can actually help us creating the future business managers post pandemic, and it will be there for coming times, and it will be a very new normal when these type of combinations are there. Now, remote working. Now, you see that everybody has started working from work from home and that online courses. So I think this is now has become new normal, and it will be same, I think, for at least 2-3 years more to come. So remote working or gig workers. Now these workers, Monica ma'am was telling that now education 4.0. Now it will be a very different mindset, different workplace, different setup of this. And now they will be giving us a very new normal in working spaces also. So working spaces are going to change. Now, as usual, we were doing it. Now it will be all changed scenario where the setup of working will always be changed. So Bschools has to be ready for it. That what are the new changes and how we should make ourselves ready for the new normal. I think that is a challenge for all of us sitting here. That how the new Bschools will be there and how they will look like.
Right. Dr. Singh, I want to ask you that there is also a certain mindset needed, because this was unforeseen. We never imagined. We are going with a certain way of teaching and learning, and suddenly we are out of blue comes this pandemic. So are we also at a certain stage of the mindset level between both of the teachers as well as the students, where they are, as Dr. Veeraraghavan said, that adaptability, having that emotional intelligence. Do you think 6 months is enough time to get transformed and get receptive to that kind of module of education? Do you think it's going to be challenging for us right now, especially for the management institutions, to navigate this gap of what is demanded and where we are right now?
Well, right now we are in a reaction mode. There is a pandemic and we are doing two things. One is that we are trying to save ourselves. We are focusing on our health. We are focusing on survival. And somehow, we are seeing to it that all activities work as much as possible. So there is no pro-action. It is all reaction. It seems to me that now people have started coming to normal life, and this is the right time to visualize, right? That we and we can.
Sorry, I think the network is a bit slow. Yeah.
In fact, after am I?
I'm losing this. But yes, please continue.
There is some. So what I was telling that right now we are in reactive mode, and we have to move into proactive mode, and that will take at least 6 months. So by
I'm sorry, I think the network is bad.
March, April, all the business schools would be.
So I think there's some issue with the network. I will do one thing while this network gets fixed. I'll just quickly go to Ms. Khanna with the same question.
Yes.
I'll just go to Mr. Khanna. My question is the same. That we need. Are we kind of have we reached a stage wherein the mindset is ready for the new kind of learning? The approach in learning. Are we ready from the mindset perspective? Because just in 6 months, unforeseen, unexpected, do we suddenly expect our students to understand emotional intelligence, adaptability? How are you looking at bridging this gap?
Thank you very much. This is again a very interesting and a very important question, no doubt about it. I think we honestly, very frankly speaking, we have no choice. we are left with no choices today. Either you survive, you move forward, or you have to suffer the consequences. So, I mean, as far as we are concerned, I can tell you about our institute. I think we just had a break for maybe a week or less than that. In that also, we were just wondering now, how is it that we have to move forward? Because this all happened somewhere in the middle of March, and we were going to, in the next 1 week, we were going to start our exams, and the summer internships had to start, and suddenly everything just came to a grinding halt. Even the admissions, I think it was not even completed. There were some portions left. But I think in that 1 week, we all, my faculty and staff, I have to compliment them. We all got together with the students and we figured out this various platforms. Suddenly, from nowhere, Zoom became center stage, and whatever was the balanced syllabus and things, we just completed it. And then we were waiting for the lockdown to get over. A lot of summer internships had to be redone because many companies, obviously withdrew their offers. So our placement team went on an overdrive and tried to, get virtual internships. So 98% students did go through the summer internship. But the thing is that we had no choice. So I think if you talk about the luxury of building a mindset and then waiting and watching, I think those luxuries are over today. You have to move quickly, you have to react very quickly. And I do believe, if I just take an analogy again from the animal world, I think somewhere we have to be like the amoeba or the octopus to move in any direction today, I mean, things are just hitting us from anywhere at any point in time. I suppose the mandate for everybody is, or the writing on the wall is, there is no time to grieve or to look back or to think. You have to just move forward. I do believe that the way this pandemic has open its challenges for our students, this concept, which is just earlier used to be a theoretical concept of adaptability, agility, resilience, emotional maturity, and quotient. I think they have experienced it live firsthand, because they also realized that none of us had a choice. So I do believe I do believe they are better prepared for the new industry and for their career, because they have actually seen us. We have all gone through this whole thing together. So I think the learning part has happened very quickly, and I do believe they are more prepared than they would. Maybe the same concept they would have learned in the next 5 years, 7 years about adaptability, agility, and all, but they've just learned it within the last few months. And I do believe they are better prepared for this so-called the new normal. So that's my thing about mindset and preparing for the future.
Right. Mr. Singh, if I can come back to you, yes, we can resume. There was some tech error.
So we try to interact with our students and faculty, and I found a very interesting trend that 1/3 of them are very enthusiastic and they are thinking proactively. 1/3 are waiting and watching, and 1/3 are depressed. So we have to evolve our strategy in such a fashion. So those people who are proactive and enthusiastic, they create positive vibes around, and they are able to become much group. But we also need to provide support to 1/3 of the students who are depressed, who are anxious, who are hopeless. Right. So I see a significant chunk of both faculty and
right.
There's a problem with this network.
Yes. I think that's one of the challenges while we were thinking of
they are over. So
what
sorry.
changes we need. I think infrastructure-wise also. Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
I think there is some issue with the network. Yes.
Hello.
I want to come to you. Yes, Mr. Okay. Sorry, I'm sorry, sir. There was some issue again with the network.
So the strategy has to be two. Okay. The strategy has to be two-way. One is that we come out with positive steps and move forward, but we have to also take care of those people who are not able to respond, who are facing problems with flexibility and adaptability. Yeah.
Right. Perfect. Mr. Veeraraghavan, you have raised a very, very important point. But tell me, at an institutional level, have you started making those shifts, in terms of teaching and building those new skills? Has the shift happened on ground also?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ruhail, some things, we had to do for the first time, but, we've been actually practicing many of these things in the last decade or so. For example, just the last 3 years, what we did was we made sure that every Tapmian, being a top 20 school, we want to make sure we spend a lot of resources on students. So one of the very interesting things we did was we provided individual Coursera licenses for every student, every Tapmian, right, at our cost. And we have access to roughly 3,000 courses around the world. And we told them, in addition to what we are going to offer in the PGDM program, we will highlight some courses and we want you to take them. Just as an example, our courses are not just management. The reason is, I certainly want all of my students to have absolutely cross-disciplinary, multidisciplinary exposure. So we've given them courses on, for example, what can I learn from a Holocaust? What can I learn? We have a course by Imperial College on the science of COVID. Right? We are giving them a course on how do you model forest fire. We are giving them courses on public health. The reason is, we live in a diverse society. We don't live in a single society which can be easily organized, right? We live in a completely different world. So I want every student of mine to be able to expose to multiple disciplines, learn from public health, learn from history, learn from modern art, learn from languages and linguistics, learn actually from the science of COVID, learn from how do you model a pandemic. I mean, who is to say, Ruhail, that we will not have another pandemic in 10 years? Who will say we can't have another, COVID-21 or whatever it happens to be the next? So it's impossible. We cannot. Therefore, what we have done, and this happened not just this year, we looked at it even a couple of years ago and we implemented it. So several things, we have been a very, very innovative school. And that's one of the amazing things I love doing in my job. The other thing that is probably new, and new in some sense, is this online, offline sort of teaching. But we have synchronous. So for example, in February, when we have to prepare the budgets for this year, we clearly anticipated that this is going to be a long haul. And we had the entire campus, completely ready with almost 14 different interactive classrooms with 86-inch monitors, and we made sure that we have unlimited cloud space. We record every lecture. Every lecture is live recording happens and then it's put up on the cloud. Students can download the lectures. So it's all synchronous mode, right? And then we share everything in advance with them, all the notes, materials. So obviously you can't replicate a campus experience. That is not going to happen. But in terms of mindset, what we have told them is, listen, placement, for example, is now happening online. I mean, the recruiters are ringing you and doing internship interviews on placement. And this is going on till 2 o'clock in the morning. You have to still wear a tie. One of the interesting courses we've introduced this year is how has communication changed in the last 6 months? You know why? Because in the last 6 months, it's a virtual. Now we're talking to each other in a virtual mode, right? This communication is very different to what we would have done 6 months ago. So we have a course in Michigan where we tell them communication in a virtual age, because the world of Skype, Messenger, WhatsApp, these communications, webinar, for example, this is a very different communication. So there are etiquettes for virtual communication too, and we want them to learn. So we have got a course on how do you do complex analysis. For example, how do you manage creativity? How do you do, this COVID world, pandemic modeling? All of these different courses, which is never in a PGP program. And that's why your first question is curriculum. The crisis has certainly changed the curriculum, and it's changed for the better. I think business schools have been very uncomfortable, Ruhail, to not change curriculum. And that's a real big problem for universities, particularly Indian universities. They just don't like changing things. But it's a very wrong approach. You have to be ahead of the curve. So for us in TAPME, we started the change 2 years ago. We are continuing to change. And we actually also, one final point, we have ensured that every TAPMEan also has ground reality of what is happening on the ground. So we do a course called SAVA, Society, Environment, Values and Attitude. It's a course where we want to bring humility in leaders. Today, if you ask me what is one trait that separates a leader from a manager, there are multiple. Many people will give you 20 different reasons. And I say to you, if you have humility and if you have empathy, that is the most critical thing at this point in time, specifically in the post-pandemic period. You want to see a leader who has an organization that is alive and versus dead. What would have happened in between is empathy and humility. So to me, yes, we have changed. Yes, we are learning. And we continue to learn, and we should learn, right? But business school professors should also be learning, and these are amazing challenges for me. To me, there is nothing more exciting than a great challenge like this. So thank you.
I think just taking from what you said is, I think this pandemic has brought in a policy shift, which might not have happened maybe in a longest time. I think it has got that policy shift where everybody is looking within. Dr. Chitkara, my question is to you is that at the academic level, in the classroom level right now, are there any signs of visible shift in terms of the teaching, the way you are teaching and grooming the management students this year versus the last year? Is there a real change on ground as well?
I think it is a well said question, Ruhail, because it is need of the art to change ourselves very drastically in our teaching learning processes. Because if you see now that they are still online, still in an online mode, and they are not started coming to the campuses. And Bschools immediately shifted to the new normal mode of teaching and learning. What we have started doing is that in this, well said by Veeraraghavan, that placements, the training modules, they all are becoming online, under the online mode. So what we have done is that we have made a big, huge, we have invested so much into the technology. Otherwise also it was a very technological campus. Our campus was already using the technology at the fullest. But now we have made a full big room, big hall, and that is I think more than the 3,000 square foot of area, where we have made all the LEDs on a one wall, maybe more than 20 LEDs at one point of time, and there is a lecture room of type of situation where we are one-to-one with our students, and all the students are on the screen and they are on the interactional mode. So it's a very new normal where we are as a mode. We think that we are just talking to the students face to face, but otherwise technically they are in an online mode. And in that way, in a week, 4 or 5 days we are teaching, and one day we have fixed a day for a master class, and that master class is for the people from the technological background, from the people from industry. So they are coming and they are talking to them. That reason being that now Anup sir was saying that 1/3 of them are very depressed, and some of them are not very comfortable with the new normal. Some of them are comfortable but not of that state. So what they are doing is that coming to them and talking to them that this is the need of the hour for the industry. So don't worry, we are with you. That type of interaction is needed. Otherwise, they will be in a problem. They are not seeing that the things were happening, because their I think main concern is that what will be happening to our internship, how we will be placed, since the market is not very good and there are not many good jobs. So I think these are the problems and which we are trying to do with the help of the technology. And I think here comes that how to handle this situation. So we have to reinvent our technology in the campuses. Remote working will be there. So how to work remotely? Well said by one speaker that morning 2 o'clock they are with the tie and the suit and that interacting with the people, because the time gap is in other countries. If you see that globally, the time zones are different and they have to be comfortable with those zones. So I think now they have thought that this is the new normal and they are becoming very comfortable and they are reacting very positively to this situation. Now the things are gone. Slowly they are coming to this mode, and we are using very good technology in the shape of the different platforms. We have taken some courses from Coursera, some courses from edX, and those courses, for example, in older times, we were saying that the choice-based learning has to be there and different modules to be taken by the students. Now, by default, they are taking those courses through these platforms, through online modes, through MOOCs courses. And luckily, we have our own MOOCs programs where we have already recorded that. And they are from our professors, the best professors in those who can do it. So I think that is now becoming new normal, and things are moving towards the normalization.
Sorry to interrupt, but we just have like 2 minutes left, and I want to come to you with quick comments, like 20 seconds, like a TV debate. First to you, Mr. Raghavan, a 30-second comment on what structural changes are needed to enable the readiness for a post-pandemic leadership.
Okay, the first thing I think we need to very quickly do is just look at the whole curriculum and bring in multidisciplinary curriculum. Don't stick only to management courses, and ensure that the traits of leadership. Leadership competence is going to be an absolutely important attribute. So we want to ensure that we talk about humility, we talk about empathy, we talk about flexibility. So the whole curriculum needs to change from my point of view, and I think that is already happening. Thank you.
Perfect. Ms. Khanna, your quick thoughts.
Okay, I do believe that today the boundaries or the walls of the classroom are broken, they are shattered, and we are all in a globalized situation. And I also believe that knowledge is just available at the flick of a button. I just go to the Google and I get whatever I want. So I think the point today is that it has to be experiential, and it has to be action-based learning. Otherwise, without that, it's of no use. The education that we are giving to our students is of no use. You have to move out of the boundaries of the classroom and actually focus on action-based learning, and balance the theory and the practical together.
Absolutely. Mr. Singh, your thoughts about making those structural changes and enabling a new culture for grooming leaders?
Well, I feel that MBA is different from BBA program. While there is much more focus on teaching in BBA program, there is much more focus on training in MBA program. So we need to conduct a MBA as a training and not as a regular teaching. That is the first thing that I would like to submit. Second thing is that besides acquiring functional knowledge, there has to be much more emphasis on personal development of students. Unless they are transformed, they are not going to make much contribution wherever they go. So along with the functional knowledge, there has to be emphasis on developing their personality. And thirdly, what Professor Khanna was telling is very important, that we need to bring in more internship and experiential learning. Somehow, IICT earlier dictated that we should teach our students for 1400 hours, and then there was a lot of struggle. It was reduced to about 1050 hours. Still, it is too much. If we really want to do justice with the MBA, we need to teach not for more than 800 hours, and rest time should be devoted for internship and experiential learning.
Perfect. And last words, Dr. Chitkara, from you.
So
sorry, I'm out of time.
In one sentence, I can say that now in B-School, we need people who can work with more transparency, strong emotional quotient, empathetic, and who can assess or manage the future demand of the business world. I think that is the need of that. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for this insightful panel, a very broad-based topic, and so much to communicate actually on this. Thank you once again for joining us, and over to you, Anup.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Namaskar.